Good evening, guys. In the last session, we discussed about file permissions, how to work with file permissions in Linux, and how to use symbolic mode to represent file permissions 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you want to give read, write, and execute permission, then you can go for a number 7. Only read and write 6, read and execute 5, only read 4, execute and write 3, write permission 2, execute permission 1, 0 means no permission. So like this, we can give file permissions by using numbers. Okay. How to change a file permission? What is the command we are going to use in the Linux to change the file permission? We are using a command called chmod. Chmod command we are using to change the file permission in Linux. As we discussed, in Linux, everything will be represented as a file. Good. Next one, we discussed about Linux operating system is multi-user based operating system. Multiple users can connect to Linux machine at a time and they can perform multitasking. Now, when we have created EC2 instance with Ubuntu OS, by default, Ubuntu user created for our machine. We are able to connect or we are able to log in into Linux machine by using Ubuntu user account. Along with that, we can create multiple accounts in the Linux. U1, U2, U3, like that I have created 3 users. What is the command we are using to create the user account? Sudo add user. Sudo add user. Sudo nothing but a super user. Sudo command represents it is a super user mode. Add user, we will give the username. It will ask the password. Right. After creating the account, we can switch from one account to another account by using sudo -username. To check what is our current username, with which username we logged into our machine, we can see that by using whoami command. And how to delete a user in the Linux, sudo user delete. Similarly, we can create the groups in the Linux. Groups are mainly used to provide the privileges to set up people at a time. Sudo group add group name. To see the existing groups, you can use this cat command etc/group. How to add a particular user to the group? Sudo user mode -ag add the group name, username. This particular user will be added to that group. To check the user belongs to which groups, you can use id space username, and you can delete a user from the group, and we can delete a group also. These are the commands we have executed in the last session. Let's quickly see here my present working directory. pwd command I'm using to see what is my present working directory. Currently I'm in home Ubuntu directory. Who am I? I logged in with which user account? I logged in with Ubuntu account. That is the default account created when I have launched EC2 instance in the AWS. In AWS, I am using EC2 service. Using that EC2, I have created a virtual machine with Ubuntu OS. Now, in that, what are the files available? ls-l command. It is listing down all the files. In the Linux, everything will be represented as a file only. Everything will be represented as a file only. Here we can see directory 1, it is a directory. How can we understand that it is a directory? It is starting with the character D. It is starting with the character D, and this directory having several permissions. Read, write, execute for user, read, write, execute for group, read and execute for the others. Read and execute for the others. By using this, we can understand what permissions are available for these files. What permissions are available for these files. Okay. Now, so today our topic is mainly on how to work with chown command and how to install softwares in Linux and how to host one web application in the Linux machine. Today's topic, we are going to discuss about chown command, change owner. Chown command, which is used to change the owner or change the group for a file. Then we'll discuss about installing softwares in Linux, hosting static website in Linux, hosting static website in Linux machine. Right now, accessing static website from Windows OS. Access static website from browser. So these are our today's topics. Good. Fine. First of all, let us see here ls-l. When I have executed ls-l command, it is listing down some files which are available in my present working directory. What is my present working directory? pwd present working directory. It is displaying. Inside the root there is a home folder. Inside the home folder there is a Ubuntu folder. These are called directories in the Linux. Inside the Ubuntu I am having several files. Now if you see, this is a directory file which is represented with the D, and these are the permissions for this file, and this is the username, owner of this file. This is group of this file and when this file got created. Got it? Now Ubuntu is the owner for this file. Now I want to change the owner of this file. To change the owner of the file, we are going to use a command called chown command. Chown stands for change owner. Chown stands for CHON, change own. Chown stands for change owner. By using this command, by using chown command, we can change owner or group of a file. We can change the owner and we can change group of the file. Now let us see here. For this F3, for let's take this file 2. File 2 is there. Who is the owner of the file 2? Ubuntu. File 2 belongs to which group? Ubuntu group only. File 2.txt. This is the file which is belongs to Ubuntu user and it is belongs to Ubuntu group. Now I want to change this file owner. File to owner I want to change to user 1. What is the command? Sudo change owner. Which user you want to use? User 1 file2.txt. ls-l command. Now you see file2.txt. Who is the owner of the file 2? Before executing this command, who is the owner of that file? Ubuntu user is the owner of the file. After executing the chown command, who is the user of that file? User 1 is the user of that file. User 1 is the owner of that file. Okay, good. Next one. Sir, can I change group also? Yes, you can change the group also. Sudo chown group name I'm giving as user 1 colon user 1. That is the user 1 is a group name. Colon represents that I want to change the group for that. File2.txt. ls-l. Now you see this file 2 belongs to which group? File 2 belongs to user 1 group. And file 2 is the owner of that file. User 1 is the owner and it is belongs to user 1 group. Like this we can use chown command to change the user of the file and to change the group of the file, to change the owner of the file, to change the group of the file. Now sudo chown, here you can give username. Which user you want to make it as a owner for this file? Here you can give file name. This command we are using to change owner of the file. And one more command to change the group of the file. Sudo chown command colon group name space file name. For which group you want to change the group name. Changing owner of the file. By using this command, by using this syntax, you can change owner of the file. And changing group of the file. By using group name, you can use this sudo chown command colon group name. Can I change both username and group name at a time? Changing owner and group name for a file at a time. Changing owner and group of the file. Very simple. dollar sudo chown username colon group name, which group you want to assign, and you can give file name. By using this command, you can change the user and you can change the owner and group of the file at a time. If you just want to change only owner of the file, then you can use sudo chown username space file name. Then whatever the username you are giving, that user will become owner of this file. And we are going to create the groups in the Linux. Now, if you want to assign this file to a particular group, then sudo chown colon this group name you can give. Then this file will belongs to this group. What are the privileges available for that group? Those privileges or those permissions will be applicable for this file also. Next one, I want to change both username and group name at a time for the file. Sudo chown username colon group name. This username, whatever we are giving, this user will become owner and this file will be part of this group. What are the privileges available for this group? Those privileges will be applicable for the given file name. So like this, we can work with chown command in the Linux. I hope you got the concept of chown command. Sudo means super user. Sudo means super user. Sudo means super user. He will have all the permissions in the Linux. He is like an administrator account in the Windows. Sudo means super user. Okay, that super user will have all the permissions in Linux. That super user will have all the permissions in Linux. Good, guys. So with this, we have discussed a lot of commands in the Linux. Now, what are the topics that we have discussed in the Linux so far? We discussed about what is Linux. What is Linux? We discussed about Windows versus Linux. What is Linux? Windows versus Linux. And we discussed about Linux distributions. We discussed about Linux distributions, Linux advantages. Linux advantages we discussed. Then we discussed about launching EC2 instance, launching EC2 instance. Here we have used Ubuntu OS, which is one of the flavor of the Linux, Ubuntu OS. And before that we had discussed Windows OS also, that's fine, Ubuntu OS. And we discussed about key pairs in EC2, like what is public key and what is private key, what is the purpose of those keys, and converting PEM file to PPK file, PEM to PPK conversion, PEM to PPK conversion we have discussed. Connecting to EC2 instance using PuTTY, working with PuTTY, we discussed about it. Then Linux file system hierarchy, Linux file system overview we have discussed. Then we discussed about working with files, working with directories, working with files, working with directories, how to work with files in Linux, how to work with the directories in Linux we have discussed. Then can you please tell me what are the commands that we have learnt in the Linux? Can you please tell me what are the commands that we have learnt in the Linux? Come on, guys. What are the commands that we have learnt in the Linux? In the Linux, we discussed about several commands, guys. We discussed about several commands. First one is present working directory. Then we discussed about who am I command. Then we discussed about ls command. Then we discussed about ls command with several options. ls command with several options. We discussed about touch command. We discussed about mkdir command. We discussed about rmdir. We discussed about rm command. We discussed about rm command, and we discussed about vi editor, vi command. Then we discussed about sed command. We discussed about grep command. We discussed about cp command, cat command, mv command, mv command. What else? What else commands that we have discussed in Linux? Locate command, find command. We discussed about locate command. We discussed about find command, head command, tail command, head command, tail command, head command, tail command, cat command, head, tail, tag command. We discussed about a tag command. We discussed about diff command. We discussed about diff command. We discussed about chmod command. We discussed about chown command. We discussed about chown command. We discussed about man command. We discussed about man command. Then what else? PWD, who am I, ls, touch, mkdir, rmdir, rm, vi, set, grep, cp, cat, mv, locate, find, head, tail, tag, diff, chmod, chown, man. Date command we discussed, cal command we discussed, date command we discussed, cal command we discussed, user add command we discussed, add user or user add, user add, user delete, user add, user delete, group add, group delete, group add, group delete, group add, group delete, group creation, that is group add, group delete, adding the user to the group, adding user to group, add user to group, remove user from the group, add user to group, remove user from the group, remove user from group, working with file permissions, file permissions. We have discussed about file permissions, symbolic, numerics, right? Chown command that we have discussed it, right? Chown I have mentioned, changing the ownership of the file, changing the group of the file. So these things that we covered in Linux so far. What is Linux? Linux is an free and open source operating system. Windows is a single user operating system. Windows is a single user operating system. Linux is multi-user operating system. Multiple users can connect to the Linux machine at a time. Okay, Linux distributions. As the Linux is open source operating system, several users has taken the source code of the Linux. Linus Torvalds has given this Linux source code for free of cost. People has downloaded the Linux source code and they have modified according to their requirement. They released into market with different name. That is called as Linux distribution. 200 plus distributions are there for Linux operating system, like Ubuntu, CentOS, Amazon Linux, RHEL, OpenSUSE, Debian, Kali Linux. Like that, there are 200 plus distributions are available for Linux operating system. Now here we are using Amazon Web Services Cloud, so to use virtual machines. In the AWS, we have used one service called EC2, Elastic Compute Cloud. By using that EC2, we have created one Windows machine. We connected to that Windows machine by using Windows RDP application, and I have terminated that EC2 instance, which is having Windows OS. Later point of time, I have created Linux machine with Ubuntu OS in the EC2. When we are creating EC2 instance, it is asking to download the key pair. Now public key will be available, private key will be available. Public key will be available in the AWS EC2. Private key we are going to download. By using that private key and public key, we can connect to the EC2 instance. The public and private keys are used to establish connection with EC2 securely. Okay. Then in order to connect with the EC2 instance, I am using Putty software. Putty is an open source software. Using Putty, I'm connecting to my Linux machine. This is our Putty terminal. I'm executing all the Linux commands by using Putty. Right. After that, we discussed about Linux file system. So if you see cd dot 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 dot. Now I'm coming to root. I'm coming to root ls-l. Now you see there are so many files are available in the Linux. In the Linux, everything will be represented as a file only. So in the root directory, there are so many files available. What is the purpose of all these files? We have discussed file hierarchy, file system, and how to work with the files, how to create a file, how to delete a file, how to create a file with the data, how to create a file by using touch command, how to create a file by using cat command, how to append the data to the file by using cat command, how to create a directory, how to remove the directory, how to create the subdirectories, all the things we have discussed. Next, pwd command, which is used to see what is our present working directory in the terminal. So now if you see pwd, currently I'm in the slash directory. That means it is a root directory in the Linux. If I want to move, then I will go for cd space home. Now, if you see pwd, currently I'm in the home directory. cd space ubuntu, I'm going to ubuntu directory. pwd, this is my present working directory. Okay, who am I? With which user account we have logged in? That username it is going to display. ls command, it is used to list the files which are available. If you want to list the files with all the information, ls-l command. So file permissions, file, who is the owner of the file, that file belongs to which group, when that file created, all these commands we can see. There are several options that we can give for ls, ls-ltr, ls-l, ls-t, ls-a, ls-ai, like that. There are several options that we learned about ls command. Touch command, which is used to create the empty file, mkdir to create a directory. Remove directory, if the directory is empty, we can remove the directory by using rmdir command. If you want to remove the non-empty directories, then you can go for rm command. vi, it is an editor. If you want to edit any particular file in the Linux machine, then you can go for vi editor. It's like a notepad in the Windows. Now, sed command, if you want to perform some substitute operations in the file without opening the file, I want to replace one word with another word, I want to replace particular line in the file, I want to replace the last line. For such kind of operations, we can go for sed command. Sed stands for stream editor. Then we can go for grep command. If you want to search for the particular text, if you want to search for particular text in the file, then you can go for grep command, global regular expression. Now I want to find out where India word is available in the file. Okay, then I can go for grep command. Generally, in the real time, we will use the grep command to search the log files. To search the log messages in the log file, we are going to use grep command. cp command, if you want to copy the data from one file to another file, then we can go for cp command. Cat command, multiple purposes. If you want to display the file content, go for cat. If you want to create a file with data, go for cat with single arrow. If you want to append the data at the end of the file, cat double arrow. Like this, we can use the cat command. mv, if you want to rename the file, rename the directory. If you want to move the files from one directory to another directory, then you can go for move command, mv. Now, locate. Locate is used to search for the files and directories. I want to search a file which is starting with the F character. Then I can go for locate. I want to search all the files which are ending with .txt. Like this, we can search for the files and directories by using locate. Locate is going to search in the locate database. Locate will maintain its own database called mlocate database. It is going to search for the files in the particular locate database. Now, find command. Here it is a specific search. I want to search only files. I want to search only directories. If you are very specific about your search criteria, then you can go for find command. Find is very slow when compared with the locate. The reason, locate will search directly in the locate database. Find command will search in the entire Linux file system. That's the reason find will take more time. Head command to display first 10 lines of the file. You can display any number of lines by giving -n. Tail command to display the bottom content of the file. Tag command. Tag is reverse of the cat. Tag is reverse of the cat. Cat will display the file content from top to bottom. Tag command will reverse the content. Right. Diff command, if you want to compare the two files, we can go for diff command. Now chmod, which is used to change the file permissions. Chown, which is used to change the owner and group. Man command, which is used to display documentation about a particular command. I don't know particular command syntax, then I can go for man command name. It will give me the details of that command. For example, I don't know about chown command. Then I will go for man chown. It is giving chown, change file owner and group. These are the synopsis of the chown. This is the description of the chown. Like this, if you want to see particular documentation, then you can go for man command. Good. Next one, date command to display current date, current year, current month. Cal command to display a particular calendar. Adding the user to the Linux OS, deleting the user from the Linux OS, creating the group, deleting the group, adding the user to the group, removing user from the group, file permissions with the numeric numbers, and rev command to reverse the content. Apart from this, did I cover any other command? Apart from this, did I cover any other command? Yeah, we discussed about WC, word count. I want to count the number of characters, number of lines, number of words available in the particular file. For that, we are going to use a command called WC. WC nothing but word count command. Word count command. Okay. Yep. So this is what we learned so far in Linux. Guys, are we able to revise everything in the last 10 minutes? What we learned in the Linux from last 10 days? Is this clear for all of you? Good. For every day, I have prepared notes also, and I have uploaded the notes in our website. I hope people are able to access the notes in our website. Every day after the class is completed, I'm updating the notes in the website, and we have given the permission for you people to download that notes also. Very good. Now, next, we are jumping into another important concept, that is installing softwares in Linux. Now, here we are using Linux machine. I want to install, basically, why we are using Linux operating system, why we are learning Linux. Already we are good with you. We are good with Windows. In everybody laptop, Windows operating system will be available. Windows is having very beautiful graphical user interface. Everything you can do with the button clicks only in the Windows operating system. If you want to create a folder, right click, new folder. If you want to create a file, right click, new file. Everything you can do by using GUI in the Windows. When the Windows is having beautiful GUI, why we are learning this Linux operating system, where we need to do everything with commands? Linux is more secure than Windows. Linux is more secure than Windows. Linux is free. Linux is open source. Linux is more secure than Windows. And Linux is a multi-user operating system. That means multiple users can access the Linux machine at a time. They can perform the multitasking. But Windows, only single user can access at a time. Okay. In the real time, to deploy our applications, we need servers. All the servers in the real time will be installed in the Linux machines only. In the real time, all the servers will be installed in the Linux machines only. Now today, I'm going to show you how to install a software or how to install Apache server in the Linux machine. Now, we can install softwares also in the Linux. Now I'm going to show you how to install particular software in the Linux operating system. In the Linux operating system. Got it? Fine. Guys, here I'm going to show you a command which is used to install, Apache to server in Linux, which is used to deploy our HTML applications. Okay. Now, installing Apache server in Ubuntu OS. Guys, observe carefully today's topic. Installing Apache to server in Ubuntu machine. Ubuntu machine. Where is this Ubuntu machine is running? This Ubuntu machine is running in AWS EC2. EC2 instance we are using. In that EC2 instance, we are using Ubuntu OS. Now, I want to install Apache to server in Ubuntu OS. Okay. Connected to EC2 instance, that is the very first step. Login into login into AWS account, login into AWS account, start EC2 instance, start EC2 instance, Ubuntu OS, Ubuntu OS. Connect to this EC2 instance using putty. Connect to EC2, connect to EC2 instance using putty. Got it. Already these three steps are completed. Already I have connected to my EC2 instance. This is my present working directory. Now my username is Ubuntu. I have already done this all the steps. I logged in into my AWS account. I have my EC2 instance, which is in the running state, and this is the public IP of my EC2. Using this IP and private key, I connected to the EC2 by using putty. Now I want to install one software. First of all, to install the softwares, we need to switch to root account. To install the softwares, we need to switch to root account. To switch to root account, I'm using a command called sudo su. I have changed it to super user. Guys, now you see, when I connected by using Ubuntu user, it is displaying dollar at the end. Dollar means it is a normal user account we are using. If it is representing ash, that means you are using a root account. You see the username. Currently the username is Ubuntu earlier. Now the username is root. Now the username is root. Currently I logged in with the root account. Currently I logged in with the root account. Now, once I connected with the root account, I'm going to execute a command called sudo apt update. What are the existing softwares available in this Linux machine? I want to update all the packages. I want to update all the packages which are available in my Linux machine. For that, I'm going to use a command called sudo apt update. Sudo apt update. Connect to EC2 instance using putty. Switch to root user account. Switch to root user account using sudo su command. Using sudo su command. Okay, good. Next one. Once we have switched to root user account, then we have updated existing packages. Update the existing packages in Linux. Update existing packages in Linux OS using below command. What is the command that I'm using to update the existing packages? Here it is a ash, guys. Ash means it is a root account. Sudo apt update, which is going to update the existing packages. Once we have updated the existing packages, install Apache 2 server. Install Apache 2 server in Linux machine using below command. Okay, how I am going to install this Apache 2 server? What is the command that we need to use? I'm a root user. Ash means root user, guys. Dollar means normal user. Ash means root user. Ash. Now I'm going to execute a command called sudo apt install Apache 2. This is the command I'm going to execute, which will install Apache 2 server in our machine. Now, currently, what is my account? I'm using root account. I'm using root account. Good. Now, let me execute a command sudo apt install Apache 2. Sudo apt install Apache 2. Now you see here, it is trying to install. Do you want to continue? Do you want to continue? It is saying that after this operation, 8091 KB of additional disk space will be used. To install that Apache server, it is going to take 8091 KB of disk space in the Linux OS. Are you okay to continue? Do you want to continue? Yes, press character A, Y and enter. Now, Apache 2 server is getting installed. Apache 2 server is getting installed in our Ubuntu machine. That Apache 2 is a web server which is used to run web applications. Right? Now, Apache 2 server got installed. Can we check it? Is it really installed? What is the version of that? Apache 2 version. Apache 2 version. Yes, you can see Apache 2 server installed Apache 2.4.41 Ubuntu flavor. Because our machine is Ubuntu machine, our OS is Ubuntu OS. For this Ubuntu OS, Apache server installed with 2.4.41 version. Apache server installed in our machine. So what is the command I have used to install this Apache 2 server in our machine? First, I have updated the existing packages. Then I have executed this command to install Apache 2. Check the version of the Apache 2 by using below command. Check Apache 2 server version using below command. Check Apache 2 server version using below command. What is that? Yes, we are using sudo, sorry, not sudo, just Apache 2 version. Right. Now, this is the command that I am using to check the version of Apache 2. Am I installing Apache 2 in specific folder, or it will be installed in the Linux file system hierarchy? It is going to install in the Linux file system hierarchy. Good. Now, Apache version, I'm able to see that 2.4.1. Now, I want to start the Apache server. Apache server is installed. Now, I want to start the Apache server. So, what is the command that we use to start the Apache server? Sudo systemctl start Apache 2. This is the command which is used to start the Apache. Apache server started. Apache server is going to run on the port number 8080. Apache server will be running on the port number 8080. Apache server started. Can we check the status of that Apache? Sudo systemctl status of Apache 2. Status of Apache 2. Now, can you see Apache server is running or not? Can you see Apache server is running or not? Come on, starting the Apache HTTP server. Apache server is running. Started the Apache HTTP server. Started the Apache HTTP server. Are you guys able to understand this? Apache HTTP server started. Sudo systemctl start Apache 2, which is used to start the server. Sudo systemctl status of Apache 2, which is displaying the status of Apache server, Apache HTTP server. It is running. Okay. Start the Apache server using below command. Start Apache 2 server using below command. Start Apache 2 server using below command. What is the command I am using to start it? What is the command I am using to start it? In the as a root user, I'm using sudo systemctl start Apache 2. Sudo systemctl start Apache 2. This is the command we are using to start the Apache server. Once the Apache server started, we can check the status of the Apache server. Check Apache 2 server status using below command. What is the command to check the status of it? To check the status, I'm going to use sudo systemctl status of Apache 2. It is going to tell you whether the Apache server is running or not. It is going to tell you whether the Apache server is running or not. With this, finally, we are able to install Apache 2 server, and we are able to start Apache 2 server in the Linux machine. Guys, see the steps here. Installing Apache 2 server in Ubuntu machine. Login into AWS account. We all are having the personal accounts in the AWS. We are able to log in. Once we log in, we will create the EC2 instance with Ubuntu OS, and we are starting that Ubuntu machine. EC2 instance we are starting. Then, after that, we are connecting to that EC2 using PuTTY. PuTTY software we are using to connect to EC2 instance. Key pairs will be available. We will download the private key, and we will use that private key to connect to our EC2 instance. Once we have connected to that EC2, we will be logged in by default with Ubuntu user account. By default, we are logging in with the Ubuntu user account. Got my point? Got my point? Once it is done, we are switching to root user. We are switching to root user by using sudo su command. Sudo su. That means we are switching from Ubuntu user to root user. We are switching from Ubuntu user to root user. Then we need to update the existing packages in the Linux before installing any software. It is highly recommended to update existing softwares in the Linux. For that, we are using sudo apt update. It is going to update the existing packages available in the Linux OS. Now, once the existing packages are updated, I'm installing Apache 2 server. In order to install Apache 2 server, I'm using sudo apt install Apache 2. It is going to download the Apache 2 server from the internet. It is going to download the Apache 2 server from the internet. Once it is downloaded, we can check which version it has downloaded. Just we are executing Apache 2 space -version. It is going to display the version number. Once it is clear for you, then you can start that Apache 2 server by using a command called sudo systemctl space start space Apache 2. That means I want to start the Apache 2 server. Once that server got started, we can verify what is the status of that server by using sudo systemctl status Apache 2. With this, we can understand that Apache server is running. Now, remember that Apache HTTP server is used to run web applications. We have installed Apache 2 server, which is a web server. We have installed Apache 2 server, which is a web server. Apache 2 web server is also called as Apache HTTP server. Apache 2 is also called as Apache HTTP server. Is also called as Apache HTTP server. Apache HTTP server is used to run web applications. Apache HTTP server is used to run web applications. Apache HTTP server will run on 8080 port number. Apache HTTP server will run on 8080 port number, which is a default 8080 port number. Okay, now guys, if you see that you are accessing one web application called ashokitech.com, are you able to access ashokitech.com website from your browser? Can you click on this link and can you see that? Can you click on this link and can you see that? Are you able to access this website? Are you able to access this website? That means this website, this is a web application which is running in the Apache server. You are able to access. 8080 or 80, both are same, man. It's running on the 80 port number. 8080, that is the default port number. 80 is the range. Okay. Now, so you guys are able to access ashokitech.com website. What does it mean? How you are able to access ashokitech.com? ashokitech.com website is running in your system, or it is running in my system, or it is running in the cloud system. Where it is running? It is running inside a server in my computer. If I shut down my computer, still can you access Ashokitech website? If I shut down my laptop, can you access Ashokitech website? Yes or no? Is it running in your system? No, it is not running in my system. It is not running in your system. It is not running in my system. It is not running in your system. It is running in public server. Right. Now, Ashokitech website is a web application. I want everybody to access my website. That's why I have hosted my application in the public server. That is the reason by using this URL in this globe, anybody can access our website. Similarly, I want to host one website in our EC2 instance now. That is the reason I have installed Apache 2 server. What is this Apache 2? Apache 2 server is a web server. Apache 2 is also called as Apache HTTP server. Apache HTTP server is used to run web applications. Apache HTTP server will run on 8080 port number. 8080 port number. Okay. Now here guys, here we have taken one EC2 instance. In that EC2 instance, we have taken Ubuntu machine. Now, this is my EC2 instance. This is my EC2 instance. In this EC2 instance, we are using Ubuntu OS operating system. If you want to do anything in the computer, you need operating system. That's why I have installed Ubuntu OS. Ubuntu OS is one Linux flavor. In this Ubuntu OS, now I have installed Apache 2 server. In this Ubuntu OS now, what I have done? I have installed Apache 2 server. Apache 2 is a web server which is used to run the web application. Apache 2 is a web server which is used to run the web application. Now, inside this server, I am going to keep my website. If I keep my website in this Apache 2 server, anybody can access my website. Are you guys able to understand what we have done now? So how can you access my website? How can you access my machine, my server? For that, we are having IP address. For that, we are having public IP. Now, this machine is acting as a Apache server now. Can I say my EC2 instance acting as a Apache server now? Can I say my EC2 instance acting as a Apache server now? Yes or no? My machine is acting as one server. I have taken EC2 instance. In that EC2 instance, I'm using Ubuntu OS. In the Ubuntu OS, I have installed Apache 2. Apache 2 is a web server which is used to run web applications. Inside that Apache server, I'm going to deploy my website. That means I'm going to host my website. Now, how to access this website? This complete machine is acting as the Apache server. If you access this IP, that means that request will go to this Apache server. Okay. Now you send a request. Now you are an end user. As an end user, you can send a request to that Apache server from your browser. You send a request to by accessing that URL, and it is going to give you that response. Now here you are going to send one HTTP request. And you are going to get some HTTP response. We are sending a HTTP request and we are getting the HTTP response. Can I try to access this? IP now? Copy this IP address. Go to browser, http:// give the IP, send a request. Is it accessible or is it not accessible now? Am I able to access this IP or am I unable to access this IP now? Am I able to access my Ubuntu machine from my Windows browser or I'm unable to access? I'm unable to access. Why? Security. This EC2 instance is not available for public access now. What I need to do is I need to enable HTTP port for my machine. What I need to do? I need to enable HTTP port for my machine. What I will tell to my EC2 is, hey EC2, if you get any HTTP request, please allow that request. If you get any HTTP request, please allow that request. We need to open HTTP port for our EC2 instance. We need to open HTTP port for our EC2 instance. Then our application or our IP or our machine will be accessible. Now let us see here how I am going to open HTTP port for our EC2 instance. Now, so currently this is not accessible. Let's go here to the EC2 instance. This is our EC2 machine, actions, network, security groups. security groups. What is the security group is available currently? A default security group is available. By default security group is available. Here we can create one security group and we can attach that security group for our EC2 instance. Let's go for security groups. In the EC2, there is an option called security group. Now, what I will do is I'm going to create one security group for you people now. Create a security group name. What I will give it as my security group underscore new group I am creating. Inbound rules, I'm going to add an inbound rule. What I will add here is HTTP custom port, anything. I'm going to open HTTP port. That means the incoming request, if any HTTP request comes to my machine, I want to allow that request. If any HTTP request comes to our machine, our EC2 machine, I want to allow. That is inbound rule. Okay, click on create security group. What is the name of the security group? My security group underscore new. Click on the security group. Description, let me give this as a description. Now create security group. Security group is created with the inbound rule. What is the inbound rule? I opened a HTTP protocol with the port range as 80. Right, now go to EC2 dashboard, instances which are running, select this instance, action, network, change the security group. Let's add this security group which is having HTTP port opened. Add it, assign security group is assigned for that. Now let's go to this IP, access it. Is it accessible now? Come on guys, is it allowing me to send HTTP request to the Ubuntu OS machine? Is it allowing or not? Yes, it is allowing. Can you access this URL now? Can you see this web page is displaying for you? Can you see this web page is displaying for you? Can you click on that URL which I have given? Click on that URL. What is that URL? That is my EC2 instance URL, sir. For that EC2 instance, I opened the HTTP port. When you click on that URL, it is sending a HTTP request to my server. What I have done, I have opened a HTTP port. If you send any HTTP request, that will be allowed. Inbound rule configured for that. Any incoming request which is with the HTTP protocol, that request will be allowed. This is a default web page which is displaying. Can you guys see here? This is the default welcome page used to test correct operation of the Apache 2 server after installation on the Ubuntu systems. This is the default page. If this page is displaying for you, that means your Apache 2 server running successfully. It is based on the equivalent page on the Debian from which the Ubuntu Apache packaging is derived. If you can read this page, it means that Apache HTTP server installed at this site is working properly. You should replace this file located at var www.html index.html before continuing to operate your HTTP server. What they are telling is, boss, whatever this web page you are seeing here, that web page is displaying in this HTML. HTML stands for hypertext markup language, which is used to develop the web pages. Now, what I will do is, I will go to this HTML, I will replace this content. I will go to this HTML, I will replace this content. Where is this HTML available? Inside the var www.html index.html. Let's go to that index.html. Can you tell me how can I replace the file content? Can you tell me how can I replace the file content? Can I do like this? cat/var /www/html/index.html. Can I do like this? Welcome to Ashok IT. Control D. Okay, now let's refresh this browser. Now, can you see the content is changed for this web page? Can you see the content is changed for this web page? Welcome to Ashok IT. Now, can you access the URL which I have given? Can you access the URL which I have given? Content is updated? Content is updated. Yes. How to append the content to the existing file? How to append the content to the existing file? Double arrow. If you give double arrow, content will be appended at the end of the file. Content will be updated at the end of the file. Refresh. Now, some extra content I have added. Some extra content I have added. Okay, so this is a simple HTML page. I want to host one website, guys. I want to host one website. What kind of website I want to host is, I have a static website. This is index.html. Open with Google Chrome. Now, can you see one website in my local? Can you see one website in my local, one HTML file, index.html? Some images are available, some buttons are available, some links are available. This is a working website, guys. I built one static website by using HTML. I built one static website by using HTML. Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, Home, About Us, Pricing, Services, Contact Us. This is my website, a dummy website I have created for you. A dummy website I have created for you. It is a HTML, static HTML only. Where is this website running? In my local. I want to deploy this website into server, Apache server. Now, in order to deploy this website, only HTML not sufficient, because I am using some images, I'm using some font, I'm using some CSS, I'm using some styles, I'm using some buttons. Okay, I have some data. I have some data here. But my point, how to host one website? In order to host the website, I need this HTML, I need these assets. Inside the assets, CSS is there, font is there, image is there, JavaScript is there, plugins are there. You don't worry about it. You don't worry about it. Developers will do this. Developer has done the development. Developer has given you these two things. Hey, Ashok, I have developed one website. Can you host it? My website is having index.html file, and my website needs these assets. These assets are CSS styles, fonts, images, JavaScript plugins are available. Now, I want to keep these files in the Ubuntu OS, then website will be ready. Okay. So now can you tell me, how can we transfer the data from my Windows machine to Linux machine? How can I transfer the data from my Windows machine to Linux machine? Come on, guys. How can I transfer the data from Windows machine to Linux machine? Come on, fast. Make it quick, make it quick. There is a software called WinSCP. There is a software called WinSCP. Now, my HTML is having very static data, guys. My HTML is having very static data. Cat, var w, HTML / index.html. If you see, this is the content available in my file. So what I will do is, you can do this one. You can do this one, index.html. You can write the content. Welcome to my website. Welcome to my website. Control D, close it. Now, if you come here, if you refresh, it is displaying welcome to my website. Whatever you keep in the HTML, that will be displayed on the browser. Now I want to deploy my static website. For that, I'm going to use WinSCP software, guys. Let me use WinSCP. I will transfer the data by using WinSCP. WinSCP open source software I'm using. By using this WinSCP, I will connect to Linux machine, guys. Observe carefully. Hostname nothing but IP. Copy this public IP. Go to WinSCP. Hostname. Username is what? Ubuntu. Ubuntu is the username. I don't know the password of the Ubuntu. So what I will do? I will go to advanced. SSH authentication. Select the private key file. We already have the PPK file now. In the PPK file, go to DevApps PPK file. 01 DevApps key pair. Select this PPK file. Now click on OK. Now click on login. Wow. I connected to my Linux machine from WinSCP. Now, do you have graphical user interface here? Do you have graphical user interface for the Linux also? Do you have the graphical user interface for the Linux also? Now, I have used one software called WinSCP. I have used one software called WinSCP. What is the purpose of WinSCP? From the Windows, I connect it to Linux. Now, if you see left side, this is my Windows machine file system. Right side, my Linux file system. Right side, my Linux file system. Now, what I want to do is go to root user, go to var, go to www, go to HTML. Here index.html available. This index.html is displaying welcome to my website. Now I want to replace this index.html with my index.html. Now drag and drop, overwrite that file, permission denied. I don't have the permission. I don't have the right permission for that folder. How can I give the right permission for that folder? What is the command? chmod 777. I will give all the permissions now. /var /ww /var /ww /html-r. Recursively, I will give all the permissions. Good. Now let's drag and drop. Yes. Retry. Skip all. File is updated now. Assets also I'm updating. I want to keep the assets also. Images, I want to keep it because that HTML is using the images. That HTML is using the images. Now, am I able to copy the data from my Windows machine to Linux machine? Yes. Now, can you refresh it? Perfect. Our website is ready. Our website is running in the Linux machine. Can you access this URL? Can you access this URL now? Can you access this URL now? Is it updated? Am I able to deploy one website in the Linux machine? Am I able to deploy one website in the Linux machine? How I have transferred my website files to Linux machine? How I have transferred my website to Linux machine? By using WinSCP software. In the WinSCP, I connected to Linux machine. In the WinSCP, I connected to Linux machine. Here, inside the root, there is a var folder. Inside the var folder, there is www folder, web folder is available. In that web, HTML folder available. In that HTML, I kept my index.html, I kept assets. This HTML is having this web content. In that HTML, I'm using some images. Those images are available in the assets. Now, when you access my machine, you can see that website is hosted there. Now what I will do, this URL I will change. Now currently it is giving http:// IP address. But when you access Ashok IT website, are you accessing that with the IP address or you are accessing with the URL domain name? Now real Ashok IT website you are accessing with IP address or you are accessing with the domain name? You are accessing with the domain name. But currently in our EC2, one dummy website is there. How you are accessing the dummy website? You are accessing with IP. Now we need to change this IP. We need to map this IP to the DNS. That's where Route 53 service comes into the AWS. There is a service called Route 53. By using Route 53, we can map our IP address to DNS name, domain name. That we will discuss in the AWS. That is not our task here. Our main target is how to host one website in the Linux Apache 2 server. In the Linux machine, Apache 2 server. I hope we have done that. Is this clear? Is this clear, all of you? Are you able to understand the process which I have done? Are you able to understand the process which I have done? I will document all these steps, guys, and I will give you these website files also, index.html and assets. I will zip it and I will update in the Telegram. I will update in the Telegram and I will write the remaining steps what I have done. I will write the remaining steps what I have done, how I have connected to that WinSCP, how I copied my files into, how I have copied my files into this machine. I will update you that. I will share that complete notes in the website by today night or by tomorrow morning. Tomorrow Sunday, no session. We have our next session on Monday. So please practice this before coming to Monday session. I will share this document. I will update all the steps. Here you are clear with how to install Apache server. The steps that I have to provide you, how to add the security group for it, and how to host the website and how to access it. That I will do it and I will share. Thank you. We'll meet again on Monday. Thank you guys. Bye-bye. Good night. Happy Sunday. Yeah, happy weekend. We'll meet again on Monday. Before coming to Monday, please practice how to host the website in the Apache 2 server in our machine. Thank you.